so we're 5 minutes in and we don't know to whom we're speaking.
And we're on the Atlanta Digital World Summit podcast with an incredible host committee member named Heather Gibbons, who was introduced to me by another incredible host committee member at Arnold Golden Gregory, who happens to be the sponsor of this ridiculous podcast.
Wow, that was a run-on sentence.
Thank you.
It was a good one, though. It was good.
It got everything in there.
Heather, Matthew said, Sarah, you need to meet Heather Gibbons. She's a dynamo.
Oh, well, thank you both all for having me here.
Finnegan.
And you especially, thank you, because you're keeping me
Don't bite her.
line. No biting.
He's judging you right now.
He's a little bitch sometimes.
He's
so
he's sniffing my fingers right now, trying to decide if he's going to bite.
Ignore him when he does. Now pay no attention. Don't even look at him.
Don't look at him.
He doesn't exist. You're too good for him.
Oh, he didn't bite yet, though.
It's okay.
He just
trust me.
okay. So
See this thing on my hand?
I do.
Trust me.
Did you earn that?
Yes.
Sarah,
Not the way you thought.
Port Ben, thank you for having me.
I
did
happy
not
to have you.
thoroughly prepare, but what I will say
didn't
is,
either.
We never do.
Okay, well, what that means is you get just the authentic.
Yes.
That's what
Here
I'm
we
talking
go,
about.
right?
Yes.
So
That's what we want.
I'm very grateful to Matt for introducing us.
Me too.
Because and we had coffee, and
Yes.
we were in, and I was telling him about a project we were working on, and I was like, I don't know much about gaming. I was like, do you know anybody? He's like, you got to meet my friend Sarah.
Who knows?
The end.
I know so much about it.
Well, but
I'm an expert.
I think you guys were all doing much organization around
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember what month that was, but you were well into the
Yep. Planning.
summit.
Planning.
Yeah. Planning. So, but I'm grateful because then you and I had lunch,
Yep.
and then I think we talk pretty frequently, which I love.
Absolutely. And you live about a mile away from me.
I know, which I love too.
Fantabulous.
How did gaming bring you two together?
Oh, that's interesting. So we were
Question.
doing the DEC website, so DeKalb Entertainment Commission website. And so DeKalb Entertainment Commission is focused on film permitting for DeKalb County, as well as entertainment, music, and gaming. So those are really the three areas that they focus, and I just didn't know much about e-gaming.
Well, before we go any further, why were you doing that? Who are you? And why were you doing that as opposed to just a man off the street?
All right.
You guys tell me what, yeah.
I don't know.
No, but I mean, that's very
I wouldn't
interesting.
know where to start with that
But
question.
how did you connect to them? What is it you do?
Thank you. So INMO, I don't know, how far back do you want me to go? I was
Let's
born
start
in
with
Miami,
INMO.
Florida.
I like that. Remember what your question was? Who were you in high school?
Ooh.
Yes.
I
That was
want
one of
to
my questions.
start-
When I was going through
Are
your
you
stuff, I was
serious?
like, yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to start there.
I was a little bit of a rebel.
Tattoos?
No, I don't have any tattoos.
Piercings?
Not till I
weird
left high
laces?
school. I did have one right here, and then I took it out within 24 hours.
So you had it by the lip.
I had that kind, yeah.
A piercing on the lip. Okay.
But it was post high school. I guess, who was I in high school? I was the person, here we go into like we're just out of Pride Month, but I came out in high school as a lesbian, and I was in Miami, Florida, and that was early 90s.
And that's young.
And that was not really it was not like it is today.
Can I ask a strictly heterosexual who has no understanding? I mean, my sister was gay. She dated in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dated guys.
Yep.
And never came out to me because I just knew it.
Yeah.
What, as opposed to everyone, well, everyone knows, your friends know, everyone in school knows. What does coming out specifically do? How do you come out when everyone kind of already knows?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think what's interesting is when I was in like 7th grade, so in junior high school, I wasn't even aware myself, right? And then that's when I dealt with kind of like the bad rumor kind of thing. And so by the time I was in high school, I said I was going to confront it head on. So it's not people talking about like, is she gay? Is she not gay? Hey, everyone, I am gay. I'm very gay. And, if you want to talk to me about it, let's talk about it. So just kind of confronting it head on instead of letting it be
a rumor.
A rumor. And then I had people, message me years after high school, many years into my 30s, in random places saying like,
wow,
you really helped me and that kind of thing. So it was hard, no doubt, like especially in the younger years. In the high school years, I was a little bit more, I played guitar. I was just a little bit of, I started playing guitar, found music. Actually, Matt is friends with one of my closest friends from high school. They played in a band, went to college together, Emory, and played in a band together. And so I found music, and that was a big thing for me. And I think it helped me step into myself and being comfortable with who I am, what matters to me, and how I have the ability to kind of navigate how I show up in the world. You know what I mean?
Do you think we've come a long way? You think it's better now?
I think we've come a long way, and then I think we've kind of gone backwards. So
a certain element of holding on to something backwards, yes.
Yes. So I attended recently a couple of things. I don't want to go deep into politics, but what I want to say is that I am very hopeful that we can get to a place in this country where there's more unity and civility. And that was one of the things I discussed. I attended a workshop last week through Inclusive. It's a Jen Graham over at Inclusive does amazing workshops. And that was kind of the topic. And actually, like a lot of what we're talking about is really relevant, but it's about, really listening and not just, entering in a conversation with someone, really listening and trying to understand. Listening to understand, I think, was one of the big takeaways. And so I'm really just hopeful that we can get to a place where we all kind of meet and find more unity.
Most of us do listen with our mind already made up, I think.
It's true. And I don't want to be also, and something we discussed in my, in my little breakout room that we had is I don't want to be in an echo chamber either.
Right.
I want to have other people on the other side of the conversation who I maybe disagree with, but I want to have the ability to have kind, meaningful conversations that hopefully bring us both to we may not agree, and that's okay.
Right.
But it's about just being human and as simple as this. I was talking with someone this morning when my son was 4, and even to this day, I would say, treat others the way you want to be treated, right? He's a little guy. Well, that applies to adults as well. And it's as simple as that. Let's be, I think, respectful and
well, I think
listen.
we've lost the ability to disagree in a nice way. Disagree and not get mean about it.
Yes.
We've completely lost it.
Yep.
Well, someone gave us permission.
Well, it's an ongoing. Well, let's not go
really.
there.
Someone gave us permission to do that.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of moving parts, and I think if we focus on, okay, how do we just come together at this point? Let's not think about how we got here, but let's say, okay, we can all agree at least that things aren't right. Mm-hmm. How do we come together with open minds, open hearts, and and make informed, I think, informed decisions based on data. That's always great, like actual data. And there's like a lot that goes deep, I know, because it's like, well, where are you getting your information from, and who's paying for that information and all that. I know it goes deep.
It's not even that. It's that some people just have no idea that they should even get information.
I know. That's the biggest part of the problem.
That is one of the most amazing things to me is, people just don't even think about reading or researching or doing anything like that.
I think, Sarah, like that is exactly.
It's being curious and educated versus being really like uneducated and ignorant.
Right.
And willfully ignorant too.
It's about the ability to say, I'm going to get more information, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to research and say, okay, this is coming, these are all the resources on this topic. These are who are funding these resources. So knowing you're going to have a broad set of data and then kind of analyzing it and using your best judgment, right? Based on the data. I think that is huge. That's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I wish I had the solution for that. I think education, we need more to go back to like what I do and what I'm passionate about is my agency, creative marketing agency, INMO Creative. We've been doing a lot of work since we started with economic development, workforce development. And I really love that because when I think about, because it's systemic. It's kind of like when you think about the body, you're treating the root cause and not the symptoms. I feel like economic development, workforce development, you have the ability to go at it at a deeper level. And I really appreciate that. And not just do I appreciate it, I'm really inspired by it. And the ability to touch someone's life, like, the workforce development stuff where there's a child that might be, and I say child, teenager, right? That might have a natural curiosity about technology or entertainment or whatever the case may be. It's entertainment. Atlanta Digital World Summit and the fact that we have sponsorships and, these opportunities for people to learn and grow. That's where Sarah and I really connected when we met this Atlanta Digital World Summit is creating opportunities for young people. It's a path that could be that step that really is a pivotal moment in someone's life.
We got to write that. It's got to be our new mission statement.
All that?
All of it. Get it. Did you write it down?
Yeah, I took notes. Mark the time code. There it is.
Yep.
No, I want to know, coming out of college,
Good job,
what
Heather.
made you? I mean, coming out of college, did you know you wanted to be in this space? Did you know you wanted to be in a band? I mean, what did you want to do?
So first of all, I went to college. I didn't graduate. I wound up leaving school when I was in a band. I moved here to Atlanta from Miami to play music. That was like my motivation for coming here. And I wound up joining a band, or starting a band, I should say. And I played music. I was in school at the same time. I wound up leaving. I worked at Brickstore Pub in Decatur, had a great community of people, still connected to a lot of those people to this day. And I've always been a creative person. I've always been, whether it be music or writing, I've always been a creative person, but I can't tell you that I would have said, I want to start a creative marketing agency. No.
But you did.
Not too many creative people have a linear forward. It's here. Oh,
why do you think that is?
Because I think the creative mind is like, well, I'm open to this. I'm open to this. I'm open to this. And to me, and I'm making a generalization here, but an accountant is like numbers.
True.
It's the only path forward.
Yep.
Us is like, I could be in a band. I could do an agency. I could write music. I could do this. And it's like, and then I was a PA in LA for a while, and I did a lot of things, and I got a job in a TV station as a PA. I mean, running camera.
Yeah.
And then I lied and said I could shoot.
I lied
with a
and said
video
I could
camera.
edit.
And they sent me out there, and I started shooting video and commercials.
We're liars.
And it's like I fell in love with it. And I worked 4 or 5 different TV stations, and I went.
Wow.
And the path found me, sort of.
You were still at the TV stations, though.
Well, there's a lot of different ways to go. As you get older, you're like, I could have done that,
But do you remember one of those like pivotal moments where something happened where it kind of sets you on a course? Mm-hmm. And that's what I think is really cool about this summit, the Atlanta Digital World Summit, and the opportunities that it the sponsors provide in terms of
sponsors. Please listen, MasterCard.
Yeah,
please listen.
I mean, it's really, you have the ability to help shape someone's future. And that's why I love the economic and workforce development work. And I didn't know I'm going to go start a creative marketing agency. I played in a band. I wound up working in the restaurant business. Then I did IT for about 5 years. And it's funny because I had to.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense.
I know, but I did.
And you were good at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were creative and you were linear.
Well, it's funny. When I wound up doing IT, a good friend worked for WebMD, and he did IT for WebMD, who is so that was Jeff Arnold, and then they wound up going public, and I think so. My friend started his own IT company. And he was talking to a bunch of my friends, all guys actually. And he was like, I'm starting this thing. And I was like, I want in. And I actually, at that time, I think I was interested in always the creative, but I was interested in technology. There was a guy that used to come into Brick Store that I just thought was super cool. His name's Aaron. He wound up being our first client at INMO. And he worked for Apple. I think he worked for the company that Apple acquired early on, and they wound up, and then he wound up coming back here and starting a company called Big Nerd Ranch, and he has actually since sold Big Nerd Ranch, and the project I worked on with him is called the Continua Foundation. He was technically INMO's very first client. And what he's doing is creating resources for folks that are interested, in potentially going to college for engineering. Let's say,
what's it called again?
Continua with a K. Okay. Continua Foundation. So he is creating this massive resource in terms of information and booklet and making it accessible and free. And he wants to get to those people that otherwise, so they have this natural curiosity, but maybe their school just doesn't have a calculus class. Yeah. There are schools that don't have a calculus, class. And so it's geared toward folks that have that natural curiosity that, would otherwise not have the ability to tap in. And then he's working on setting it up so there's going to be mentors, and you can work with teachers, mentors, all kinds of cool stuff. So that's the Continua Foundation. And that was, I guess, back to the original point, is that was my kind of intro. Then my friend Mitch wound up starting Chasing Gremlins. I jumped into that. I was like, what the heck am I getting myself into? I don't even know anything about IT. One of my favorite websites was howstuffworks.com. At the time, I found out in our very first meeting that was our biggest client, and I was stoked because I loved it, and I learned so much from that website. And so I spent 5 years working with Chasing Gremlins in IT. I grew tremendously. I got certified in Microsoft and the other platforms. I'm trying to think of the certifying entity. It's red and white. Can't think of it right now.
You got it.
Network Plus, N Plus, A Plus, and so forth. And I enjoyed it. But then after a certain point, you guys have a sense of who I am. I was like, okay, I need people. And that's when my friends, it aligned with my friends opening Leon's in Decatur, which is a restaurant. And I went back to run Leon's, which I did for about 7 years and had a lot of fun. And it was during when the cocktail movement was getting really big in Atlanta. And just Miles was killing it behind the bar. It was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. And I wound up leaving there just to continue learning. At this point, I've got this like creative and this technical kind of background, and I wound up going to work for a creative marketing agency that primarily worked with tech clients.
Mm-hmm. Where did the genesis for INMO? Tell us what INMO is.
INMO is intentional momentum. So So it's a benefit corporation we established.
What is a benefit corporation?
Great question. A benefit corporation is actually a legal entity in Georgia. There are a limited number of states that recognize, so like a corporation or an LLC we are a registered benefit corporation. And that means that in addition to the bottom line, we have the ability to focus on positive change in society, or whatever we term our benefit corporation to be focused on. And that is, we hope to make a positive impact.
Do you have to identify what the benefit is to be a benefit? I mean, how does that work?
You do. It's in your articles of incorporation. Oh. Yep. And so there's benefit corporation, and then there's B Corp certified, and that is a certification process. So one's a legal entity, the other is just a certification process. Similar in terms of what is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is like, we're not just focused on making money, we're focused on the holistic, triple bottom line. And that was hugely important to me, because I left my last agency, which I enjoyed the work, the clients, my team, and we were doing great stuff, but I just felt like I wasn't making a difference. I wanted to have more of an impact in my life and in my work. You spend so much time working. I wanted to know that the work I was doing was having an impact.
That's interesting. I mean, is that a relatively new thing?
The benefit corporation? Yeah. Great question. I think it is relatively new, but number of years, I don't know.
I mean, how many people do you think? I mean, it seems like most people are like, no, screw it. Let's just hardcore profits. I mean, a benefit means we're dedicated to something more. Yeah.
And we've done a lot of work toward that something more. And we're not a nonprofit, so we're not receiving people, the work we're doing is because we're committed to what we've set out to do, which is make an impact. And we don't receive, a tax write-off necessarily.
Well, what are the parameters of that, of just having a corporation or having it's not a 501c3? I mean, it's what makes you that? How do you prove that we're doing something more, that we're a benefit corporation?
I think you would just have to look at our portfolio and see the work we've done and know, like, hey, they did that for free. They did that for free. It's work that we're doing in the community that, when I signed, on to help with the Atlanta Digital World Summit, I thought to myself, does this align with our values? Is this in alignment with the work we want to do? 1,000,000%. Yes. So this is a great example of something we do where I have the ability to contribute my time and, and help an organization that is doing work that is doing something positive for our community.
I saw that you're in Canvas Rebel.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't even seen it.
Oh, I did one of those.
She just did. They posted it 17 hours ago.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I'll have to read it.
Brand new. Nice.
There you are.
Awesome.
I'm going to ask a question from here.
Okay, cool.
Do we need to wait for you to scroll through, or can I ask a question?
Well,
sound effects of Sarah scrolling.
Yeah, what does that sound like?
Stop laughing at your own jokes, Port. Okay.
Somebody's gotta.
He laughs at all his own jokes, man. You were just talking about it, how you left your company to start your own agency, and what a big risk that was. And like you were saying, something was missing, something you were looking for. And I love the intentional part, because that is always a place of self-creation. If you had to look at intentional then versus intentional now, has it changed? Has it morphed or evolved at all?
Yes. You mean from the time point that I established?
Yes.
Yeah. So that, that timing was, I had a document. I was leaving my previous agency, and I should also say, I didn't know I was going to start an agency. I didn't have a plan. And that wasn't done intentionally. It was the first time in my life that I said, I'm going to leave here, and I'm going to sit and take a breath and determine what's next, right? With intention. And I had notes from my previous agency. I was very busy, like kind of buttoning everything up on my way out the door. And I had like, when I would have a thought, I would just throw it in this document. And I didn't have time to like go through this document. So I leave my previous role. And on that Monday, I sit down and I pull the document up and I start to title it. And I was like, this has to be, because I call it like my splat document where I just throw things, like throw it against the wall, you know? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna organize it, right? I was gonna organize it, make it really nice. And I was like, this has to be really intentional. And then I don't remember how the word momentum came in, but it just did. And it was like within a second. And then I've got my crew that, my taco folks and my family taco crew. So I texted them and I was like, y'all, I think I just named the company. And so sent it to them. And I don't remember the order, it's getting blurry, but during that time, one of my good friends reached out and asked me about collaborating. And it was the first time, because I'd had conversations with other folks about like possibilities. And there were some nets that were kind of thrown out there that I was like, thank God, because I was horrified when I left with no plan. I was terrified. And so when
it is so scary.
It was.
Yep.
And when I got a few phone calls and messages and stuff, I was like, whew. But it gave me the confidence to still just kind of take that breath. And like, so I was like committed to doing that, taking that breath. And then I left on a Friday, sat down with my computer on a Monday. My friend Simon emailed me. By that Friday, we had a brand, a logo, a website, a proposal, the name, it was just like, and I was like, okay, well, I guess this is the direction I'm moving. Yeah. And we met and had more formal conversations, purpose, value alignment, what we wanted to do. That was hugely important. And, so is it different? Yes and no. Like the underlying core, what drove it is still there. I would say, how is it, how do I envision it now? The possibility of it, of being intentional and operating with intentionally in the world. It changes. Yes. Like how do I feel like I can make an impact?
That was a really good answer to my question. Do you have a question?
No, I was enjoying the answer to your question.
Oh.
What are some of the projects you're working on? What kind of client do you seek?
That's a great question. Thank you. So back to economic and workforce development right now, one of the projects we're working on is with TCSG, which is the Technical College System of Georgia.
I'm doing something with them.
Are you? Yeah. I love them.
Yes,
they're incredible. The work they do is incredible. We also work with Decide DeKalb, and they have Made in DeKalb, which is a really cool workforce development program. So that's something we're working on with them, and we're doing their annual report, which is super fun because I've had the ability to connect with all of these folks at the technical colleges. I think I've spoken with 7 individuals at all the different technical colleges, and then I've also connected with about 7 different business owners or operators within all kinds of different fields that are. I love learning. And so I thoroughly enjoy those calls, connecting with those people, learning about what they do. And then I'm also, the way my brain works is I'm like a repository for information that then I meet someone that says, I'm interested in a career in aviation, technology or aircraft maintenance. And I'm like, oh, you need to check this thing out, and then it's super fun for me to be able to kind of connect dots around things. That's kind of how I think about it, is like, we're all just like a dot away, or resources are like a dot away. Mm-hmm. And I like the ability to be able to connect them. And the work that we're doing with Technical College System of Georgia, with Decide to Cab and Made into Cab, which is their workforce development program, is we just shot at Universal Steel last week, which was really fun. It is it's that like we get to go in at the what I feel like is more of a system level and help create impactful change in our community. I know that I can tell someone, I've told multiple people, my neighbor that lives like 2 doors up from me, he's 25. He's always tinkering with something. I'm like, Jimmy, check this out. Like, this is cool stuff. And you can get a paid apprentice. You can get paid to go learn and then leave that job making, who knows, 60, 90.
Right.
And then you're only growing from there. And then, when you think about that more holistically, that is, if we've got all these people getting these jobs, that's creating economic mobility. That means I can go out to eat with my family. I can buy a house, so it's supporting other local businesses. It's all connected. And I really like doing work that has as much impact as possible. And that's what drives me around economic and workforce development.
I agree 100%. I look more and more for that all the time. I'm actually, not to talk about myself, but what I'm doing with them is the Georgia Match program.
Tell me more.
Which basically is kids who coming up. It's a partnership between the university system and the technical college system.
Yep.
Where kids come up and they're juniors, they put their grades in, and they're sitting there going, I ain't going to school. I'm not going to do anything. And they put this in, and they get an almost instant response of, here's a pre-approval. It's not a guarantee, a pre-approval of who will take you.
Yeah.
And obviously like UGA and Georgia Tech don't participate, but they, like technical college, but you say, wow, I could get in Kennesaw State. And they don't even know. Yeah. And here's this list of,
yes,
which is just amazing.
Totally. KSU is also really cool. They have so many great programs. And I believe we had some previous summit, Zafar.
Dr. Zafar.
Dr. Zafar, that's right.
Humayan, Dr. Humayan
yes,
Zafar.
But they have a great, I know they have a great business program. I remember meeting someone at the Metro Chamber years ago who I believe started their business program. And
that might have been board member Michael Coles.
It might have been. I want to say the gentleman, he probably worked closely with, the gentleman's name is like Chris, maybe?
I have no idea.
Me neither. But I
Michael,
think,
tell us. Call us.
Yes, tell us, Michael.
Call in. This cat is making me nuts. You've got to put him down.
Oh, he's so cute. Is he?
He is making me insane.
Oh, he's adorable.
He's getting fur all over the equipment.
Oh, little buddy. As long as he doesn't spill Ben's water on the podcast thing.
I'm moving him.
There we go.
Goodbye.
So what's the future hold for you? No idea.
No idea. I think anyone who can, predict the future is going to be a
unhappy person.
Yeah, maybe. I think, the future in my mind is doing more of the work we're doing now with more clients. Just being able to kind of expand our capabilities, but our expand to help more organizations do the impactful work they're doing. And that's what I want to be doing more of. And I think how does this all tie together? I think, I want to help. Who we enjoy helping at INMO is, we enjoy the economic development, the workforce development. I like working with diverse founders like us. So whether that's LGBTQ or BIPOC, or I like working with and giving people the resources based on our experience that, it can be hard when you're, a smaller agency or part of a group that is, a diverse group, I think, especially right now. And, have hope right now, but I can't tell you that hope is not there. There's not fear behind it.
So I was just going to ask you, what makes you scared?
What makes me scared is the idea that my family could be not recognized as a family, and that we could be. I don't know that our rights could be taken away.
Yeah.
We could.
That's a very real fear.
Exactly. We could be. I don't know what. I don't want to go down the very fear road, even mentally. But there's all kinds of.
You
fears.
mean the Handmaid's Tale road?
Yeah. I haven't even. I only watched the beginning of it. I couldn't watch it anymore because I was late to the game, and we were already in it at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do it.
And that book is an old book.
Right.
Too.
It's an old concept, but we're living it again.
Margaret Atwood's prescient mind. Yeah, it's very, very. There's one thing that I always think is so interesting when I look at that book, and I look at the time that we're in right now. And my question is, how much do you take before you leave?
Right.
How much can you manage before you leave?
Well, it's interesting because we've thought about, I've thought about that. I think a lot of people have, right? But then where do you go? Where do you go?
Yeah.
Right. And there's like a lot of layers to that,
Yeah.
So, and I do love this country and so many things. I want us to, like, I'm an optimist. I want us to come together more. I want us to be, more of what we discussed earlier, the civility and united, and operate from that place. I hope we can get there. I really hope we can get there.
What do you think the purpose going forward? Had a great first year of the Atlanta Digital World Summit. What does it provide? What does it bring? Why should people care?
Great question. I'll say, like, going into it that first year when I learned about it, I was automatically inspired, right? And then when I talked to Sarah about, like, what is it? What's the purpose? And it was coming to life. And I jumped in and started helping on the host committee, and
you were amazing.
Thank you. And then we had the summit, and you experience it. And there are a bunch of things that kind of stick out, one-liners from different people throughout the experience. One person saying, this is comparing it to another event that cost a significant amount of money to get into, that has top tier quality content and folks involved, panelists and across the board. And this is a very affordable summit that is getting you the quality that you're not going to get anywhere else, that is tackling topics that are incredibly important for the city we live in Atlanta. So, and I feel like it is an example of unity. And I feel like, Sarah, you are an example of leading by example and bringing people together for a greater purpose. And I think that's what the summit has done, is brought a lot of people together because we all care about our community and how we show up in the world. Atlanta is, one of the other takeaways, and I attended multiple other events that same week, was we are collaborative here in Atlanta. And I think that's true. And I feel like we have the ability to shape what we want Atlanta to be in the next 10, 20, plus years. Right. And the summit is one of the platforms for that discussion.
It's interesting because you wanted to create this kind of marketing firm, a place where you could put your thumbprint on it and declare what values you had. That was exactly what my intention with the summit was, because there just aren't a lot of women doing things like that.
Yep.
There's very few.
Well, I think, and that's it's funny because I think one of the, I wasn't quite sure what we were going to talk about, but thinking about just people who have inspired me, you're one.
Oh, thank you. So are you.
And I mean it. And I think, and it's for all the things
but not Port.
Oh, well, Port is getting there. We're getting to know each other. We met at the summit.
I do.
I love Port.
Look at that muscle.
And Ben. Ben's awesome.
And the cat who has been
I really think
absconded.
It's it seems like a lot of disparate concepts, but you're creating a community where there's a community discussion for all these different things. We've added sports.
Love that.
It's trying to create a community of the wide ranging, where we're going, it's all over the place really, but you come in and see all these different experts in different
arenas.
Yeah. Talking about here's where it is, here's where it's going. You can see the kids, the students were just like,
yes.
The most amazing thing that has been happening this year is that people are really grasping the concept a lot better.
Yes.
And when I talk to them about panels and being part of a panel, we're like, oh man, I don't know which one you should be on. Should you be on fintech or should you be on the gaming? Because now we understand everything so much more, and all the convergence is
pollination too.
Yes, it's all happening.
That's part of I think the beauty of it is that, and I was thinking that a second ago when it is a community and it is all connected, right?
Yes.
Fintech, entertainment,
yes.
Business, across the board, it's all connected. It's a matter of us coming together and collaborating, which we do well, and to, maximize, I think, the way we approach how we do business in Atlanta. And that is, again, across the board. And as we know, we could have a whole nother discussion on entertainment and the possibility and the opportunity there. But I think, it's exactly what you just said. It all overlaps. It's bringing it all together. Port, did I answer your question? Because I don't know if I know I went on and on.
What was your question?
I think it was, what's the square root of 166? I don't know.
Totally. I got that.
No,
it's like,
what is the square root of 166?
The community, was it?
I wish I knew it right off the top of my head. I want to do that.
I want to ask you something.
Yes.
I asked you what makes you scared.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you brave?
I think what makes me brave is I think it's the ability to show other people what's possible, if that makes sense.
Because I see you very brave.
Oh, well, thank you. I think
my pleasure. It's true.
I appreciate it. I think, I would say it's, I think I don't know that I would say I'm brave, right? I think that, but there have been moments where I've done things that are brave, right? I think for all of us, we just have to make decisions that really align with who we are. And I've been trying to do more of that, especially at this point in my life, like that, one of the things in that magazine, article is like, this, I, lost my dad, got diagnosed the next day with early stage breast cancer, went into COVID. I was busy because we were busy because we had I worked for a marketing agency that supported big tech clients like PayPal and Facebook, and they were all
exploding during
COVID. We had
that
pause, scary moment like everybody, but then it was like action, and it was busy. We were busy because they were working on getting all their SMBs into the digital realm, and also everything was virtual. All the conferences were still happening, but they were going virtual. It was like everything was still happening. It was just different the way we were doing it. So we were very busy, and it was I don't know how long. I guess it was 2022. So it took me a minute, but I was like, how do I want to operate in this world? Who do I want to be? What do I want to model for my 13-year-old son?
Yeah.
And that's really what I would say helped me take the scary step of leaving, which if so brave to model how I want to be. It's funny, I saw something with Michelle Obama on Instagram scroll today, scrolly, and she was talking about how she teaches her girls that every day you're practicing who you want to be. Have you seen that?
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, she's like, so if you're, she went on and on with some examples, but the whole idea is,
Really, we're genius.
yeah, but every day we're practicing who we want to be, and so I'm doing my best.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's
That's
good.
awesome. I try that with my kid every day. Every day, be intentional.
Yes.
Everyone you meet
How old
him.
is-
He's 10,
Okay, cool.
but he's never met a stranger. I said, but
Love
everybody you meet at this level, they may prove to you differently, but just because they're an adult, just because they're a kid, just because of this, you walk up and say, hi,
Yes.
I'm Jake. Who are you?
I love that when kids do that.
I know.
I love it so much. It's great. I love having those conversations. So I think we need to get our little ones to the summit this year. And
that's a good
I think
idea.
Teo will dig it. So
The
Yeah.
13-year-old?
He has
Yeah.
to have an
Perfect age.
EDU address. I'm just kidding.
yeah, totally. He better. He better.
It's just the table. It's
Yeah,
just
actually, that's
relax.
a great shout out is, and to tie it back, sorry, I do remember something earlier,
Shout.
is the question about what the summit for this year is. There were students at that event that were blown away by the access they got to these leaders in our community. We're talking top leaders in our community in all different areas.
Yeah.
Just sitting there having a Coke or
Right.
a
Yep.
sandwich in the lobby area, and that was huge for them. And
Yes.
I think that is one of the things I'm super excited about for the next summit. And I know we're working on, I know you guys are working on the takeaway, and I think it's going to be fun. I think as the years go on to see what impacts has it had on the different people, like the attendee who comes and tells the story. Like, I was at the first summit and
Yes.
X, Y, and Z happened, and here we are 5 years later, and this is what I'm doing.
5 years.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm running Microsoft now.
Yeah, exactly. And we're like, cool, do you want to be a sponsor?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's important. Because it's like you can do for yourself, or you can do for others what
Yes, it's
what
an
folks
all
did for
access
you.
pass,
Yeah.
And these kids sit there and they're like, oh my God,
Yes.
this could happen.
Yep.
As opposed to they're sitting in the room going, this is never going to happen.
Yeah.
And their hair going, oh, yeah, I can.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And you do have to be brave when you're a student.
Yes.
You
to,
do.
like, walk up to a big mucky muck exec and
Yes.
and ask the right question or say the right thing to get it moving. And that's something that I always admire is when a student can go up to an exec and say something that makes the exec start to talk. Like,
Love it.
how do you get them to talk to
Yes.
you or remember you
Yes.
or give them your phone number or email address?
I mean,
Give me your email.
I tell
Sarah
people,
has it. I have all the numbers, guys. Just ask me.
call Sarah.
Just ask me.
1-800 Atlanta Digital World Summit.
404. Oh, should I give my phone number? No, never mind.
No, I think I do.
I'm asking for trouble.
I do tell folks, like, younger folks, like, if you have an interest in a specific, area, go on LinkedIn, find those people, go to conferences. If somebody inspires you, friend them and tell them what they said that inspired you. And just go friend as many people as you can in that
someone will
specific
respond,
area.
yeah.
Some will respond, some won't. It's okay. It's just a matter of kind of building your network with people, that are in the area you want to be in.
Absolutely.
For young college students and then back to the technical college system and the idea of, Georgia Tech and versus a technical college, the opportunity to go through one of those programs and leave with less debt, going through an apprenticeship program. I mean, goodness,
I know.
goodness.
I know.
It is so cool what the what's out there right now. And the work that I love doing is amplifying the message.
Yep.
Making sure people know this exists, you can do it, and here's what can happen. And I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
You want to take us out?
No, you this time.
Me this time. No, I think you this time.
I'll just say thank you to Port Wilson, my co-host. Thank you to Ben Norton, our amazing audio engineer. And the greatest thanks to Ms. Heather Gibbons, our fantastic, amazing guest. Find Heather on LinkedIn, and there's a new article about her on Canvas Rebel. Check it out. This is the Atlanta Digital World Summit podcast, and we are out.